A lot of times what I've found is the happiest people are the ones that are always helping other people. First question is, what is oat milk and how do you make it, and is oat milk healthy? So I've been experimenting with different types of making different types of milk for probably plant-based milks for probably around 20 years now. I've made my own almond milk, I've made my own oat milk, I've made pretty much hemp milk and some different types of milks that are out there. And oat milk is basically gaining a lot of traction. I've been traveling throughout Europe this year, and a lot of the coffee shops in Europe have oat milk instead of almond milk. And oat milk is fairly easy to make. I mean, basically it's made by soaking the steel oats in water and then blending them and then straining it. And I like actually the taste of oat milk because it has a sweet, kind of a grainy, little bit of a grassy taste to it. It's almost like a bowl of oatmeal would taste. But it actually has a better texture than some of the other plant-based milks. They all have different consistencies. Oat milk actually works really good to foam in the coffee, and it has a good taste to it as well. From a nutrition perspective, it is actually a healthy choice. I think that the majority of milks, plant-based milks, are a healthy alternative to dairy. But it also depends on how those are processed, how those are made, if it contains any sugar, if it's heated, if it's pasteurized. I mean, the good thing about making things yourself is you can take the organic oats and put them in a big mason jar, soak them with very, very good water, distilled water or purified water, which is another issue that I look at whenever I'm buying store-based stuff is what is used. Doesn't do you that much good if someone is making almond milk or oat milk or macadamia milk or hemp milk or any other type of plant-based milk if they're using tap water full of chlorine and fluoride and mercury and hormone-disrupting chemicals and everything else in there. But because oat milk, I mean, the steel ground oats or the stone ground oats, they absorb more water and absorb water more easily than the nut milks. More of the food, whenever you blend the water in with the oats, you end up with this thick consistency. And then when you press it through cheesecloth or whenever you strain it, you end up with a little more nutrients of the oats when they come through. So it gives a little bit more of a creamier texture to it. Oat milk is good for anybody that is allergic or intolerant, like some of the other plant-based milks, to dairy or even nuts. Like if people have nut allergies, like I personally love pecan milk. I mean, pecan milk is one of my favorite. But if you do have allergies to nuts, I recommend switching up and using different types of plant-based milks. I think that if you continue doing one thing in your body all the time, you know, it's seasonal too. Our bodies back in nature are used to the seasons and what we have in each season. And I've noticed, I actually did a test on myself because I've been drinking almond milk only for a long period of time. And now I did a body scan, a biofeedback scan on myself, and it's showing that I'm actually having a little bit of an allergic reaction or inflammation to almond milk. And what I attribute that to is the fact that I've only been using almond milk for the last 2 or 3 years. Although I do use pecan milk from time to time, which actually I like better, but it's hard when you travel to find these things. And definitely when you were traveling, it's hard to make your own. So if you do have a gluten sensitivity, for example, I mean, the reason why some oats are disruptive or inflammatory to people with celiac disease or with gluten insensitivities is because they're processed in the same facility as wheat and everything else. So they get contaminated with gluten. So if you do have a gluten sensitivity or celiac, you want to make sure that you only and always only use certified organic oats whenever you're making or whenever you're purchasing any type of oat milk. So the recipe that I use, and there's multiple recipes out online. If you want to make your own oat milk, this is how to do it. You take 1 part steel cut or stone cut oats. You can take 2 parts water. So you take 1 part oats, 2 parts water. I like to soak it overnight. Some people don't do that. Some people just mix it in a blender right away. So you can do like the one soaked overnight, or you can do the one that is the immediate one. I like to soak it overnight. And sometimes I'll even add vanilla. I'll add some cinnamon. I'll add some cardamom. I'll add some turmeric. I mean, turmeric is people are making turmeric milk these days. I just take our turmeric extract and add it to the milks, and instead of actually grating or using turmeric powder in there. You can do whatever you want when you make these milks. You can make them any type of flavors that you want. It's all good to add additional things. Keep it and let it soak overnight and everything softens. And then throw the mixture into a blender until everything is pulverized in the mixture the next morning. And you can adjust the ratios, add a little bit more water if you want it thinner. Don't add water if you want it a little thicker and creamier, so you can play with that and create your own viscosity in there. But then after that, you just run it through a strainer, a fine mesh strainer, or a cheesecloth, and then you have your oat milk. And for that matter, you pretty much do the same thing with any type of nut milks as well. Oat milk doesn't specifically have a significant amount of protein or fat in it, although it does have a little more fat than almond milk. You would think it'd be the other way around because nuts usually contain more fat. But the nutritional value of oat milk is a 1 cup serving of oat milk provides 130 calories, 2.5 grams of fat, 0 grams of saturated fats, 2 grams of fiber, 4 grams of protein, and 35% of the recommended daily allowance for calcium and 25% for vitamin D. The good thing about oats is they also contain B vitamins, thiamine, and folate. They contain the minerals magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, zinc, and copper. And what we found is a lot of people out there are having copper deficiencies. A lot of people out there are having zinc deficiencies. So that's good that oat milk contains that. And it contains a lot of other vitamins and minerals in trace amounts. I found it interesting that just 1 cup of oat milk contains approximately 10% of the iron you need in a day, in the entire day. And that makes it especially good for anybody suffering from iron deficiency, especially vegetarians, vegans, anybody that might be a little bit deficient in iron. There was a human study actually that was published in the Annals of Nutrition and Metabolism that found that drinking oat milk for 5 weeks significantly lowered levels of both the bad LDL cholesterol, and they compared it to rice milk, and the oat milk actually had better results. There was another study at the University of Lund's Department of Applied Nutrition and Food Chemistry, and this was done in Sweden, that had similar findings, and they reported that drinking oat milk for just 4 weeks was effective in reducing cholesterol levels in healthy subjects. Now, all these studies that I usually talk about never really address the root cause of why you have high cholesterol to begin with, so I'm always about addressing the root cause. Yes, oat milk might lower your cholesterol levels, but what is causing those high cholesterol levels in the first place? That's what we need to look at. That's what we need to identify, and that's what we need to reduce. Okay, so hopefully that answers the question on oat milk, and I will move on to the next question. The next question is, what are the benefits of MCT oil? So MCT basically stands for medium chain triglycerides. And these are a type of fatty acids that are derived mostly from coconut oil or separated from coconut oil. And most people consider MCTs as a super fuel for your cells. They take it to boost their fat burning ability, increase their mental clarity. I think that Dave Asprey with his Bulletproof coffee really is the one that pushed MCTs out there. Everybody that's doing a ketogenic diet is taking MCTs. There is research on MCTs. I personally do not take, I take coconut oil, but I personally don't take an isolated MCT formula. That doesn't mean that I think that they're bad for you in any way. I think that more research is being done that shows MCTs can be extremely effective for different types of uses. But MCTs are broken down into 4 different types. You have the caproic acid, which is going to be your C6. You have your caprylic acid, which is going to be your C8. You have your capric acid, which is going to be C10. And then you have your lauric acid, which is C12. So the medium chain triglyceride is broken down into those 4 components. The Bulletproof, Dave Asprey at Bulletproof, he's really big in recommending the C8. And actually the studies show that C8 is the most ketogenic oil. And that means it bypasses the digestive tract and it goes straight to the liver where it's converted to fat-burning ketones. So I always recommend doing everything in synergy. So if I was taking an MCT from coconut, I would also add a little bit of coconut oil in there. And even if I was taking a concentrated C8, then I would also add probably a little bit of coconut oil in there. And it's just because I believe that everything that's created, if you're taking an isolate of something, like I always talk about turmeric, there's so many products out there that have isolated the curcuminoids from turmeric and the curcumin from turmeric. But whenever you take something out, then you lose the full spectrum potency of the whole plant. And all of those things are in there for a reason, which is fine. If you want to take an isolated, concentrated form of curcumin, then also take the full plant turmeric as well. If you want to take an isolated C8 of an MCT oil, then also take a little bit of coconut oil with it, or take all of the MCTs at the same time. So another thing when you're choosing MCT oil, make sure that you get an organic source. I mean, this way, not only are you making sure that you're taking the cleanest MCT, but you're also supporting the small farmers, the coconut farmers. You're supporting sustainable agriculture. You're supporting the healthy communities that it comes from. And the non-organic MCT oil may contain chemicals. It may contain fillers. They use a lot of times high heat and during the processing. And it's called a fractionation process. And, anytime you're taking something natural and you're not converting it in a raw state, you might have aftertaste, you might have other constituents, or you might have chemicals in there that may be harmful. Some of the benefits that I've read about and some of the benefits that people have been talking to us about for MCT oil, and I am big into intermittent fasting. If you haven't seen my water-only fasting videos, I'm about to come out with a book on fasting. So I am a big believer in ketogenic. I'm not a big believer in paleo-ketogenic or meat-based ketogenic and people recommending that you eat a pound of bacon every single day. I think that is horrible. But it's very beneficial for the body to start running on ketones instead of using glucose for fuel. And in order to get yourself in a ketogenic state, you're going to have to reduce your carbohydrates to less than probably maybe 20 grams a day or 5 grams a day, which most people are doing. It's very hard to be on a vegetarian-based ketogenic diet. because most people end up eating a lot of fats. But that's where MCT comes in. I mean, MCT can, if you're doing ketogenic to lose weight, MCT has been shown to help efficiently burn fat and support weight loss. It actually helps you with a full feeling, like it suppresses your appetite. It helps you burn fat more effectively. It helps you increase your energy levels, and it helps with ketone production. And its studies have been shown to help you with gut health as well. So MCT oil is effective, and like I said, I haven't used it a lot, but some studies actually show that MCT oil can help you burn about 460 extra calories a day for men. Unfortunately, only about 190 extra calories a day for women. But studies are coming out now that shows that MCTs can be effective for your hormones and maybe help you not eat as much and live longer. And there was a recent study that was done on MCTs and autism. And that study found an overall positive effect and improvements, but more or less that those individuals were on ketogenic diets and they were followed for 6 months, and MCT was part of that. But, I'm a firm believer that if you're doing intermittent fasting or you're doing 1 day a week water only fasting or anything like that, you give your body the ability to heal. It's all about your self-healing mechanism. What is suppressing my self-healing mechanism, and how can I reactivate my self-healing mechanism? If anyone has any more comments or any research studies or anything else that can help the listeners understand MCT better, if you've had good success with it, if you've had any side effects, I would love to hear about it. Please post any comments in the comments section below. Okay. The next question I have is, what is the secret to happiness? Oh gosh, what is the secret to happiness? If there was a secret to happiness, I would hope everybody would be doing it. But what I think is, the more you like yourself, the happier you are. I mean, I've been studying personal development for 20 years, doing spiritual development for 20 years, helping as many people and evaluating, oh my gosh, hundreds of thousands of people, and trying to solve or at least simplify and educate and share information with as many people as I can. I think that happiness has a lot to do with finding something that you love to do. I interview so many people and ask them, what causes your unhappiness? Why are you unhappy? But first, let's understand that happiness comes in spurts, okay? There's no such thing as being happy all the time, because we have to learn also, and we have to grow also. And if you were just happy all the time, you would probably just be in a meditative state somewhere in a cave in the Himalayas. And I've even talking to people that are monks, and I just came back from Thailand and interviewed people, and there's not one person that I've ever interviewed or any research that I've ever found that can prove that a technique or somebody that is happy 100% of the time. So if you understand that happiness comes in spurts, but you're in that balanced state between it's more or less what the other side is. And the other side would be living in a state of stress, anger, fear, jealousy, resentment, having low self-esteem, and all of the negative patterns associated with our life that people live through every day. Because if you look at What is the root cause of you not being happy, which is the kind of the way that I look at things all the time. A lot of it is, because I ask people, what makes you proud to be you? Like, what makes you proud to be you? Like, are you proud of yourself? Do you feel like you've accomplished what you want to accomplish? Are you proud of what you did yesterday? And you'd be surprised at how many people cannot answer that question. And the other thing that I attribute to happiness is your personal development. I mean, I ask people, how much of your day are you working on you? And very few people spend time working on themselves. And I will post a video that I just did not too long ago on the 5 secrets, I think the 5 resolutions that'll change your life forever. And this has a lot to do with happiness, because it's devoting time to yourself, to be comfortable with yourself, to create happiness with yourself. And doing spiritual development, it's like sometimes the most important things in life are the things that we don't do. Like spending time in meditation, spending time working out and exercising, spending time eating healthy. You know, it always seems like the most important things that create health and longevity and wellness are the things that we know we need to be doing, but those are the things that we're not doing for some strange reason. So getting on a good spiritual development plan, and that just means spending 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, whatever your religion is, studying spirituality, meditating, spending time in prayer, spending time being grateful for what you have. You know, gratefulness is also a way that brings happiness. Doing things for others brings happiness. Self-confidence, boosting your self-esteem brings happiness. Self-confidence, when you look in the mirror at yourself every single day and you ask yourself, am I happy with myself? Am I content with myself? Am I proud of myself? You'd be surprised at how many people answer no. But then they don't do anything about it. You know, if you're not happy with yourself, the next thing that you have to answer or ask yourself is why? Is it my job? Is it the negative information I'm watching on TV that's causing me in a state of stress all the time? Is it my weight that's bothering me? Is it the way that I look? You know, what is it that's causing your unhappiness, or what's causing you to be unhappy? Is it a food addiction? Is it an alcohol addiction? Is it a drug addiction? You know, try to identify those. And stress has a big role to play in happiness is something that I've found. We all go through stress. I mean, there's eustress, which is good stress. You know, when you get all angsty, you're like really excited about something and you can feel your heart pumping and it's almost like a small state of anxiety. That's called eustress. That can be a good thing. That means you're really motivated about something and you're really happy about something, that you're about to take on a task and accomplish a task. But then there's the other form of stress, which is distress, which is actually bad. And that can play a huge role in your happiness. So evaluate your stress levels. A lot of people are unhappy with their jobs, and that's 8 hours out of your day that you're working. That's something that I would to look for and evaluate. And all I'm doing right now is just kind of going over some of the things that I've dealt with in my life, of trying to say and trying to learn about happiness, you know, why people aren't happy. Because honestly, like 95% of the people that come to us, 99% of the people are unhappy. But health has a big thing to do with that too, because health actually creates unhappiness. And a lot of it stems from your gut now. Scientists are finding that gut health has a direct connection to brain neurotransmitters and BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. And that's why they're saying your brain now is in your gut, because your happiness hormones, your serotonin and the things that make you feel good and feel happy are actually produced in your gut. So just because you might think that I'm unhappy all the time, like you might be saying, I'm just, what is the secret to happiness? Like, why am I unhappy all the time? Most likely it could be coming from an imbalance of hormones and a toxic amount of chemicals, heavy metals, poor gut health, the toxic sodas that you're drinking, the amount of alcohol that you're drinking, the amount of diet drinks that you're drinking, the processed microwave foods that you're eating, all of the chemicals that you're breathing through the air, you're taking in through the water, a lot of these things, the brain excitotoxins, the GMO foods, the MSG, all of these things have been associated with changes in the brain. So it might not necessarily be when you're saying, why am I not happy? You should look at when is the last time you've done a cleanse? When is the last time you've done an intestinal cleanse, a liver and gallbladder cleanse, traditional Chinese medicine, ancient Ayurvedic? They all associate emotional tension, emotional disruptions with the gut and the bowel. And more research is coming out on the negative changes in the bowel, the microbiome in the bowel, and how it affects our mental health. And I would classify happiness as, looking at your spiritual, physical, and emotional state and the causes of what is disrupting your spiritual state, what is disrupting your mental state, what is disrupting your physical state. Because there's always a root cause for everything. And, I also found that a lot of the happiest people, I ask people all kinds of questions all the time. A lot of times what I've found is the happiest people are the ones that are always helping other people. They just have this, internal desire to help other people. And the more you help people, the more that you feel like you're contributing to society. The more that you feel like you're making a difference. I mean, the reason why we're here on this planet is to try to do good. I mean, we're here to try to do good things. We're here to try to grow as an individual. We're here to try to grow spiritually. We're here to try to grow physically. We're trying to grow mentally. And when you die, there's only a certain amount of time that we have on this planet. When you die and you look back, it's not about, you don't take your money with you. You don't take all your possessions with you. The only thing you take with you is how much you've improved yourself and how much good you've done for the planet and how much good you've done for everybody else. You will get intuitively what you love to do, and if you don't go down that path of your dream, and if you don't, it's like, I love what I do. Like, I love helping people. It brings me happiness. I love being well. I love trying new things. I mean, this is my passion. And your passion or your dream or your vision can be anything, but it takes courage and it takes self-discipline to live by your dream and to follow your dream. So that quote basically means if you don't follow your dream, if you don't live by your vision, you're going to have a hard time being happy. So you might want to think about that as well. And scientists are finding is a link between fungus and parasites and harmful organisms and tapeworms and Toxoplasma gondii causing especially the Gandhi in the brain and the tapeworms that are actually eating and creating disturbances in the body that are causing mental illness. I've always said that the majority of negative health conditions are caused by toxins or harmful organisms or metals, and that's why cleanse and heal the gut, cleanse and heal the liver, eliminate all the harmful organisms, cleanse all the chemicals and toxic metals out of the body, and then your body's self-healing mechanism can become active again. So those are all some of the things that I think contribute to depression, sadness, which are the opposite of happiness. But if you take care of those, then it's addressing the root cause again. Then you can start progressing down the road to happiness. And another thing is character. You know, what is your character? Have you ever thought about that? Like the Greek word actually for character means chisel or mark left by a chisel. And a chisel was like a piece of steel, a sharp piece of steel used for making sculptures. But that was the original meaning of character, because the ancient Greeks would chisel away until they had a perfect character sculpture. But if you think about that, you should always be chipping away at your health and your character and becoming a better person and becoming more spiritual and trying to improve yourself on a regular basis. Try to become a role model. Try not to get caught up in the news media and watching all the negativity. Try not to be in an environment with high electromagnetic frequencies around your bedroom. Try to get proper sleep. Try to improve your health a little bit every day. I'm telling you that improving your health, you will have more days of happiness than anything else, and reducing your stress levels and trying to reduce your stress levels. I mean, you can identify all of these situations that are going on in your life and literally write them all down, and then try to identify the cause of all these things. And when you identify the cause, then you can find the solution to the cause. Okay. All right. The next question that I'm going to get into is one of the topics that is increasing more and more and more. And the question is, how can I maintain my circadian rhythm? And if you don't know what circadian rhythm is, I'll get into that in a second. But one thing that we're finding now is that one of the first signs of disruption in circadian rhythm is poor sleep. Right now, 1 in 4 Americans, that's 25%, or roughly 60 million Americans, are affected with some form of sleep disorder. There was some lab studies at MIT actually that showed that when you balance your circadian rhythm, it's correlated with a longer lifespan and a healthier lifespan. And there was other studies at MIT that said it may be one of the best treatments and prevention methods of diseases and aging by balancing your circadian rhythms. So basically our bodies function on many different cycles, and that happens depending on where you live, okay? We all are under a basic 24-hour circadian rhythm, but these cycles change. On one part of the world right now it's summer, another part of the world it's winter. So circadian rhythms change seasonally, they can change monthly, they can change daily. And really what the circadian rhythm is your daily rhythm. Circadian, circa means about, and diem means day. So it's really about the day. And the functions of your circadian rhythm are basically based in the part of the brain, because you have like this little section of your brain known as the hypothalamus. And within the hypothalamus, there's a group of cells that are known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Suprachiasmatic nucleus. And that is called the SCN. And that's actually connected to your optic nerve. And your optic nerve senses changes in lightness and darkness. And that's what regulates your circadian rhythm. But the SCN is also responsible for regulating a lot of body functions that revolve around your 24-hour cycle. And that could include body temperature, your heart rate, your blood pressure, and one of the biggest disruptions that we're seeing right now is in hormones. So it actually is responsible for the release of hormones, especially melatonin, which helps us sleep. So what happens is, if you do get a good night's sleep, in the mornings when the light first hits our eyes, our body temperature and our blood pressure begin to rise. So this is all part of the rhythm that we go through, the circadian rhythm. So in the mornings, as soon as that light hits the eyes, if you were in nature and you were sleeping outside, you would have this kind of a natural circadian rhythm, like the animals do. And as soon as the light hits your eyes, your body temperature starts to rise a little bit. Your blood pressure begins to rise. Your heart rate increases because that's kind of trying to wake you up. And there's also a delay or a stoppage of the production of melatonin because melatonin kind of makes you sleepy. So that's what happens first thing in the morning. Now, the question I have, or what I would say is to the main question, explaining the circadian rhythm is, what's going on right now? Like, what are the root causes that are affecting people's normal circadian rhythm? Because if you understand, again, the root cause of why your circadian rhythm is off, then you can figure out the solutions to avoid and to try to repair and try to balance your circadian rhythms. So one of the things that is a disruptor of your circadian rhythm is eating big meals or spicy meals close to bedtime. So when your body, you should never eat 2 hours before you go to bed, at least 2 hours before you go to bed. But with the standard American diet, with people eating foods at like 9 p.m. at night and then drinking a bottle of wine and eating a bunch of sugar and dessert and everything, and then they go lay down in bed, of course that's going to mess up your circadian rhythm because your body's going to be focusing its energy stores on all this junk, this 5 pounds of food that you have inside your system, and all your energy is going to start going towards breaking down that food. So you might have and the fact that you're laying down, your food is having a hard time moving down the digestive tract if you're laying down on your back trying to go to sleep. And so that can alter your circadian rhythm. The next thing that can alter your circadian rhythm is caffeine. Drinking caffeine after 2 or 3 in the afternoon can still have a negative effect on your sleep cycle, your wakefulness cycle. And people that drink caffeine late in the evening, that would also affect your sleep cycle and can affect your circadian rhythm. Another thing that can affect your circadian rhythm is alcohol. That's a hard one because, I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, well, there's just no way I'm giving up my wine. There's just no way I'm giving up my wine in the evenings. Like, they just can't wait to get home and have a glass of wine or a bottle of wine. That's, a whole nother issue right there. But alcohol can disrupt your circadian rhythm because it can create an imbalance. It can cause the liver to work extra hard. It can kill off the microbiomes in your bowel that produce serotonin and produce some of the chemicals you need to go to bed. So you might want to start limiting your alcohol content because, This is something that is so natural that we're all born with it, and animals are born with it too. It's the natural rhythm that our bodies go through. And when you disrupt the natural rhythm of our bodies in the universe, then you disrupt and you create a toxic or an imbalance of that rhythm, and any imbalance can lead to negative health conditions. And I tell you, one of the things that I've found that's been disrupting people's circadian rhythms in the last 10, 15 years has been EMFs. People are sleeping with their laptops on their lap. They fall asleep at night after working, and their laptop just sits there on their stomach until the morning. They sleep with their phone next to them. You know, when there's a text message or something, the light comes on, and even if your eyes are closed, your eyes can still pick up that little bit of light. So that's why it's so important to sleep in complete darkness, or use one of those herbal eye masks when you sleep, because any amount of light can disrupt your circadian rhythms. And any amount of electromagnetic frequencies, harmful frequencies, can alter the way you sleep. You don't want to have any cell phones near you. If you do, have them on airplane mode. You don't want to have any laptops near you. You don't want to have any digital clocks near you. And especially, you don't want to have a smart meter on the outside of your house, or a Wi-Fi router, or any of that near your bedroom, because that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. Stress also alters your circadian rhythm, you know. That's why it's a good idea to do some Wim Hof, some deep breathing exercises. Get off electronics at least an hour before you go to bed so you can relax. You can do some meditation 20 minutes before you go to bed. So it gives you the opportunity to get out of the realm. Don't watch TV. You know, some people watching shows until 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. You know, give yourself some time to balance. You will see tremendous differences in your health if you just get away from the news, from the papers, from your phone, from your social media, from all that, and spend time with yourself. 20 or 30 minutes before you go to bed. Read something positive. Do some personal development. Do some spiritual development. Do something that's going to be positive, and then it'll help you go to sleep, so you're not in a state of stress, which would be a sympathetic state instead of a parasympathetic state. There's something called sleep inertia that can mess with your circadian rhythm as well. And sleep inertia is hitting the snooze button in the morning. What happens is, if you hit the snooze button in the morning, and you go back to sleep a little bit, your body thinks that it's going to go back to sleep. And that's what causes you to be drowsy. So when it's time for you to get up in the morning, I've always said, win the mornings. Like when you wake up in the morning, you cannot hit the snooze button and go back to sleep. You have to pop up out of bed, you have to get up, and you have to start your day. Otherwise, if you hit the snooze button and go back to sleep for 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to end up in sleep inertia. And then you're going to be drowsy for the next 4 hours, because you're tricking your body and you're disrupting your circadian rhythm. Poor gut health, I mentioned, for insomnia, sleep problems, circadian rhythm disruption, also a sign that you might have gut issues. I would recommend that you really look into doing gut cleansing, take some good probiotics, and really focus on your health, eating healthy, eating more raw organic foods. All that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. Another thing that can disrupt your circadian rhythm is temperature. If it's too hot in your room, if it's too cold in your room. The perfect sleeping temperature is usually around 65 degrees Fahrenheit to around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's actually 67.5 in the studies. But anywhere between that range is going to be your best sleep temperature. You also want to make sure that your bedroom is conducive to sleep. Make sure you have a good organic mattress. Make sure you're sleeping on organic sheets. Make sure you have a good baby wool organic pillow. Make sure that you're not sleeping on memory foam because you're breathing those toxic VOCs all night long. Make sure you don't have air fresheners in your bedroom. Make sure you have live plants in your bedroom. Make sure you have an air purification system in your bedroom. Where you sleep is where you live 8 hours of your day. Hopefully you're sleeping 8 hours out of the day. Those are all things that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. Also, travel can disrupt your circadian rhythm. I know that firsthand. I've been traveling all over the world the last 18 months. And I can tell you, my circadian rhythm, I've been trying to balance it out through meditation, through taking melatonin, through taking some 5-hydroxytryptophan, trying to trick my body. But ultimately, travel can disrupt your circadian rhythm as well. Many adults, mostly men over the age of 40, are having urination situations because your body, without doing regular detoxification and cleansing programs, this is one thing that I've talked to many women about because they end up having to split into different bedrooms because the husband is starting to develop night urination patterns. And usually that's just swollen prostate, lack of exercise, disruption of hormones. And they end up having to get up 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And it's very sad because, you start seeing couples that have been married for years and years and years that have to have separate bedrooms once they're in their 50s and for the rest of their life. Because, it's not fair to the woman that the husband is getting up 3 times in the middle of the night to go urinate and then it's disrupting her sleep patterns. So night urination, that is something that we've had tremendous success with working with individuals that have been taking our Prostrex formula. The males that take the Prostrex formula has almost completely stopped the night urination. And we've gotten so many people that have said, thank God, and the women and the men have said, it's great that we could sleep together again in the same bed. So night urination is another disruptor of circadian rhythms. So all these things we can just look at and come up with. There's all solutions for all this stuff. But you really need to identify the causes first. Medications, prescription medications is another thing that can cause circadian rhythm disruption. All these kids that are on Adderall, that are on all these, stimulants, these medications. Multiple medications can cause disruption in sleep. Even sleep medications can cause disruption in circadian rhythms. If you're on any medications, I would highly recommend looking at the side effects, looking at what it's going to do, look at what it's doing to your body, because medications are nothing more than putting a Band-Aid over a symptom. Medications do not address the root cause of the situation. Yes, you may need medications in trauma situations. You may need medications in emergency situations, but you should never be on, my opinion, you should never be on medications for long periods of time. The body wants to heal itself. The body doesn't want to be on medications. Some of the things that are effective for sleep, insomnia, until you cleanse your body, until you can start working on some of these things, melatonin, you can do the Wim Hof breathing method before you go to bed. CBD oil is being used now efficiently to help people with sleep disturbances in circadian rhythm, to help with insomnia. Chamomile flower, California poppy, 5-HTP, passion flower, lemon balm, kava. I really like kava, GABA, and L-tryptophan. Those are just some of the things that I've worked with and some of the things that I've used to address those issues with circadian rhythm disruption. So if you have any further ideas, anything else that you can recommend anything else that might be a cause. I mean, we could literally go over hundreds of different chemicals and toxins and all that stuff that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. But please feel free to post any suggestions that you have. We want to help as many people as we can. And please post any suggestions, what you've done, or if you can be an influence to somebody else, some of the methods that you might have used to improve your sleep patterns or regulate your circadian rhythm. Don't forget, we have a lot of healthy information on our website, globalhealingcenter.com. We have multiple videos on our YouTube channel. We have Facebook, of course. Thank you so much for everybody that's been so supportive of us. Please share all these videos if you think it's been helpful. Let us know if you need any further information to post. And just remember, always, it's the little steps that make a big difference. The little changes always make a big difference. And until next time, live healthy.